Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, Master of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Brothers and sisters, this is a very, very important presentation here. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible so you understand what's going on right now, the mathematics behind it. Islam is mathematics. Mathematics Islam, to me, everything is mathematics. And you have no one out there teaching you mathematics. No one. Farrakhan's got a lot of philosophy. Okay? Science has a lot of tears. The rest of them got a lot of bullshit. It's all bullshit. See, no one's teaching you mathematics. And no one can explain to you what's going on now and why it's going on. So I endeavor to explain in the simplest terms. So I prepared a presentation here. Hopefully it'll be a short one, but as usual, I get into it and I start adding things. I'm gonna try to keep this very short and simple. Very important presentation, brothers and sisters. So you have insight of what's going on. Understand the thought process. I call this Petro Wars not because it has this talking about the presentation, because Petro Wars, right? If you understand how this civilization works, right? It's fueled by petrol. We did that purposely. It's fueled by petrol. And so we see they're in a petrol war now. Where is the core? Where's the focus? Where's the centroid? The center of petroid? Middle East. That's what's going to spark Armageddon. Petrol wars and the foundation, where it started at, right? So-called Saudi Arabia. And the conflict of pressures building there. First, it was building with Iran, now it's building with so-called Saudi Arabia. And now it says imminent attack between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Right? And so all of a sudden, where Iran was an existential threat, seemed to be pushed on the back burner now, because now the focus is on so-called Saudi Arabia. Brothers and sisters, I've been telling you for 30 years, that's what's going to spark Armageddon. Not some rumors of wars in Russia, like lying Farrakhan is telling you because he has no idea. And we're going to explain all that in detail in this presentation. See? Explain he doesn't know anything, why he thinks the way he thinks. So what I'm going to say here, brothers and sisters, is if you can understand this concept, thought is pressure, period. Your whole system is under pressure. Your whole creation, this whole creation is under pressure. Stars, all that is pressure. Bring those things in existence and keeps them in existence. When the pressure becomes greater than the entity, is crushed. Pressure. I explained that thought is pressure. I'm not going into details. If you've been paying attention, you know what I'm talking about. If not, then you have to catch up. But thought is pressure. Period. Because thought is force, pressure is just force spread out. But it's still just force. Pressure and force. Every action has an equal reaction, and that's force. Thought is force. That's why Master Muhammad presented the way he did. Says thought travels at 24 billion miles per second. Then he said, well, how does that work? Right? Because temperature is how fast things are moving. That's what temperature is. The faster they're moving, the higher the temperature. That's energy, form of heat. Because the faster it's moving, the temperature is a form of heat. Faster moving, right? The more energy it has, the faster it's going to move. The energy it has, the faster it's going to move. That means temperature rises. When it rises up to 24 billion miles per second, it's conscious. Anything moving at 24 billion miles an hour achieves consciousness. But that means the temperature has to be very high. That means the pressure right on it has to be very high to make it, because the greater pressure, the greater temperature. The greater pressure, the greater temperature. So as the pressure increases, the temperature gets faster and faster and faster. That's why the beginning of creation, according to the way Elijah Muhammad tried to explain to you, right? At the beginning, like the Quran says, the earth, the heavens were one, it's all compressed in a small space the size of earth. KB say it was small than that, he called it the Big Bang. But anyway, it was all that pressure, all that energy out there was the size of earth according to the Quran. That means that was intense pressure. That means the atoms moving around 24 billion miles per second because it was so hot, so fast, temperature so. Okay. Now, as the universe expands, the pressure decreases. That means the level of thought goes down. The level of thought when the universe was totally contracted, that means the level of thought was as powerful as the universe because the pressure was equal. Inner pressure was equal to outer pressure. That means it was equal to, the thought was equal to the total, the thought pressure, the inner pressure, that's thought us, was equal to the outer pressure of the universe. And so it was equal. That means that's the gods of the universe because our thought, which is pressure, was equal to the pressure universe. That means we had total understanding, right, of the math of the universe, because again, pressure is math too. It is math. If you can understand that connection, so as the universe starts expanding, the pressure decreases. That means the level of your thought decreases accordingly. Now, this is a point I'm going to try to show here, I'm going to try to demonstrate here. Your thought is connected to the pressure universe. So the universe, if the universe expands, your thought diminishes. As the universe expands, as it contracts, your thought increases because the pressure matches, constantly matches. That's why we have devils. They were born into existence when the universe was fully contracted. That means low pressure. They were born into, that's why I said it creating haste, creating low pressure, so they can't withstand higher pressure. They can understand pressure up to 6,000 years, then the pressure becomes too great for them, and they cannot withstand it. Cannot withstand it. So it crushes them. But we came into existence when the universe was totally contracted, was maximum pressure. That means there's no pressure in the universe can destroy us. No pressure in the universe can destroy us. Our thoughts stay in sync with the universe. So the universe changes, our thoughts change to be totally consistent with the pressure, because our thought is pressure. Our thought is the same as the pressure of the universe. As it first expands, our thought decreases. As the universe increases, right? As the pressure increases, our thoughts increase. Who can understand that basic principle? Understand that basic principle. Because we're losing energy, so therefore we have less pressure. Energy is going out there. That's another way. Connected with energy. As the universe expands, we have less energy because there's less pressure. As the universe starts contracting, we have more energy, more pressure. That means increased thought. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. If you understand that basic principle, so let's move on and see where we can go with it. Got to show some examples here. Oh, well, what's going on there? Oops. Okay, I think that's okay. Hold on. Okay, see here? Oops, why is he doing that? Nah, back up. Back up here. Back up here. Okay. See that? That's the energy. Look at that like that's energy. So, see that ball? Look at it as a balloon. Okay, you have air in the balloon. The more you heat that air, right? The more energy you give it, more heat, right? It rises. The more heat in that balloon, it rises. We're going to look at, in those terms, the balloon. So it's a lot of heat, it's rise high, right? Okay? Because it has a lot of energy. So it's rising high. So what happens? Well, I tell you. But as the energy decreases, it starts sinking. Because it's less energy. It's not as hot as much. So the balloon starts sinking because, right, it's cooling off. It's not as much energy as it was before. It starts sinking. Now, remember, its thoughts are consistent. So put it like this. When it's at that position, that's the pressure of it. That's all it thinks about, being in that position. It doesn't think about seeking. It just thinks about where it's at. See, there's no comprehension of seeking or expanding. It's just because that's the level of its thought at that time. But now, right, the energy going down, so now it starts thinking lower. Its thought process becomes lower because there's less energy. That's the level of its thinking at that time. So it's not thinking about when it was higher because it don't even know anything about that anymore. It's only thinking about the level it's on right now. That's what it's thinking about. It doesn't know anything about higher or whatever. All it thinks about is there. See? And it's thinking about sinking. Because that's what it's doing. It's sink. At this point, I'm just showing where it's at, but it has to sink to get to that point. So it starts thinking about. So that's to that balloon. That's the proper way of thinking. Sinking. That's what it's proper way of thinking. Because it's thinking about sinking. That's what it's doing. Remember, you think according to your nature and the nature of the pressure that you're experiencing. So it's experiencing lower pressure, so it's thinking lower. That's how we went from the mathematical standard to the religious standard. And we thought that was okay. Because that was the nature of the situation. We thought it was okay because we thinking, and our thinking is totally consistent with the love of the universe. So we left the mathematical standard to the religious standard 35,000 years ago, sinking, and that made sense. That sounds like that's the right way. That sounds like that's the truth, because I talk about truth, right? What truth is and everything, because a bottom line is, right? You have truth and greater truth, like light and greater light. A greater light puts out a lesser light. Lesser light is good, but it doesn't illuminate everything. But a greater light will put out a lesser light. So they're both lights, but the greater light might look at the lesser light like it's a lie. Because what it was saying doesn't seem to be true. Because he's saying, oh, when he explains things, you say, that ain't the way it is. We turn a light on and, right, those things crawling around, those are roaches. You was calling them little, friendly bugs or something, right? I said, no, the whole thing's no good. Anyway, I'm not going into that kind of detail here, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to make a connection for you between your thoughts and the reality of your situation, right? So they went to religious standard, and that made sense. Okay, let's move on. Just follow this pattern closely. And then light got weaker. Okay? So we went down to the bottom level, to the level of rocks. Level of rocks. Okay? And we turn those rocks into personification. That's the devils. We sunk down to that level. See? So we think on the same level as rocks think. We think on the same, at that point in time, we think on the same level as rocks think. Because rocks don't think about rising, because heat doesn't make them rise. They don't think rising doesn't make any sense to them, because that's not in their nature. Because they're rocks. They think about staying on the ground. Think about ground things. That's why the scripture says, your thoughts are not like my thoughts. My thoughts are above, and yours are from below. That's what it's talking about. So they think like rocks. And if you try to tell them about rising, what's rising? What's that mean? Rising? They have no idea what you're talking about. No idea whatsoever. You can talk to them forever. Rising, it doesn't mean anything to them, because heat will not make them rise. It will inflame them, get them hot, but it will not make them rise. So they never see any. You can talk rising, they have no idea what you're talking about. Zero. They won't listen to anything you have to say, because it makes no sense. Rising, what is that? It's an unknown idea, concept to them. So let's move on to the next a little further. So now we're on level rocks, level D. See, so you might say, well, they have an idea. You see reality we have right now? Democracy, American dream, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff makes sense, because that's the level they think. And so we think on the same level, because we're there too. We're the same level. We're balloons. We have the ability, but we don't know that. And you tell him the balloon to rise, he don't know what you're talking about either, because he's on the same level of rock. He had no idea what you're talking about. I'm not just saying it's an analogy, bro. This is exactly how it works. That balloon he has the potential to rise, but he has no idea what you're talking about, because at that point in time, the energy he has is level thinking is on the same level as rocks. But now the rocks can hurt the balloon, but the balloon can't hurt the rocks. See, the rocks can hurt the balloon, but the balloon can't hurt the rocks. So rocks dominate, but they're on the same level of thoughts. Understand that, brothers and sisters? Because, right? Then what happens? Okay? So let's stay like that for a while. Right? And then what happens? And then it gets even worse. Okay? Because now you have another kind of balloon. It produces another kind of balloon, right? That's got a rock in it. It looks like the regular balloon, but it's got a rock in it. See? So it has the ability to rise a little bit. That rock is to hold it down. You can't rise but so much, but it rises a little bit. If heat would make it cause it rise a little bit, right? But that rock keep them rising but so far. See? But anyway, all three of them on the same level. All of them thinking, American dream, this is it. There's no concept of anything else. This is it, period. So you got the two. You got the hybrid, that's a balloon and a rock. You got the balloon, and you got the rock. The demons, the devils, and the original people. On the same level. So it's hardly any light at all. No energy. Okay, what happens? And then comes the light. See? Because the angel sealed book. But knowledge is power. Knowledge is energy that's locked up in a book. Has been released. And so it's locked down under 7 seals. All this energy, enough energy, right, to make that balloon rise all the way back up to the top again. Because it needs, remember, a balloon has to have so much energy to move it up some level. But this has enough to move it all the way up to the top again. And so that's why it says, Suleiman, he had to come and break those seals, because he released that energy, all that energy that will cause that balloon to start rising again. Rise all the way back to its original position. Understand? See? So the balloon started rising a little bit at first, a little bit, because it's getting energy. Remember, It's coming with energy, and it also caused the balloon to rise just a little bit. The balloon and the rock, because remember, see, it's got a rock and hold it down, but it can rise a little bit. See? That gets back to where he's coming, and he's talking about, because now the balloon's thinking about rising. Now a little bit it's thinking about, because that's what it's doing, it's rising under this heat. So it's thinking about rising. Not a lot, little, because it's on a little heat at that time. It's only got a little bit of energy, but enough to start thinking about rising. Because now Superman tell you can rise. Here's the energy. But the demons, they want to rise a little bit too. But they don't want to rise that far. Well, we want separate states. See? But reparation, we want separate states. See? Because they can rise a little bit, but the rocks hold them down. But they still hold on to the American dream. They just want to rise. They just want their own little piece of it. You understand? This is not an analogy, bro. It says I'm trying to give you the math behind what's exactly happening. So they rise a little bit. They're talking about, well, we want separate states, but they still want the American dream because, see, it's still a rock. So they rise a little bit above the rock. That's what we wanted. We want own, right? Old American, what American dream, or they want the American dream, all that kind of stuff. I mean, they still want the American dream, but they want it for themselves. They want their own separate states. We'll rise just a little bit, because that's what they're thinking. Because the sun is causing them to rise too, but that rock is holding them down. So they're still thinking like massa, but they got a little thought of like the original, because they rise a little bit. So that's the mixture. Right? They still talk about master. They say, well, we want to separate. They want to separate from master and have a little. You understand? That's why they're thinking like that. That's why they're talking like that. We ain't going anywhere. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay here. They just want to rise a little above master. They want their own peace. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So what happens then? So the sun gets brighter. Superman's breaking those seals, releasing all that energy in the angel. Because the energy, remember, the angel is the book. There's all that energy in it. That when it's released, it's enough energy in there to heat up that balloon to cause it to start rising. So it starts thinking about rising. See? But now it's rising more. But the demons, they can't rise any further because that rock holding them down. It rubbed a little bit. So they're still thinking American dream. They're still thinking about, right, we ain't going nowhere, American dream and everything. But they're still in their 6 states and all that kind of stuff. See, they want us. They don't want a real separation. They want to just a rise above where they are right now. They want to stay here because they're a mixture of two. See, that because they look like a balloon. They had, part of the nature of a balloon. The sun caused to rise a little bit, but that rock was holding them down. But we rose more. Rich people, the heat is, it's getting hotter. So what happens? Let's keep going. And I got hotter. See? And boom, rising a little higher now. A little higher now. See? But the demons ain't rising higher, but they still a little higher than massa. They can't rise any higher because they're still holding them down. They still say, I'm staying, we going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere, we'll stay here. Because we're our own, we'll rise above where we are right now. But we ain't going nowhere. That's why he's saying that. Because that's the level of their thoughts. They can't think any other way. And they can't think about leaving here because they don't have the power to do it because the rock's home, because they got 2 natures right there. And they don't rise anymore. They don't think to rise anymore. You something riding? What you talking about? Go on, leaving here? Well, it doesn't make no sense to them. Leaving here because their thought, you can tell about it, they're not going to hear it, they ain't going to listen because it ain't going to make no sense to them. We got to stay here, man. This is America. This is what's happening. We just want our piece of it. When we rise above, we are going to stay in America. That's what they're thinking. You can't change that thought. And in terms of devils, they don't have no idea what you're talking about leaving. Because both of them, American Dream, that's the whole thing. That's all they can see. But the demons, they say, well, yeah, we want the American Dream, but we just want our own piece of it, own separate states and stuff. But they both are on the same level as far, they're saying this. But one a little bit above, but he can't rise any further because that stone will hold him down. But the original nation, he just causing them to rise higher. See, the sun's getting brighter. We might release more energy. So now, look how high British nations move back to the original position. They're home, they're away. They're away from here. They're away from the demons and the stones. But what happened? That same energy that energized them turned the stone into flames, because stone won't rise, but it get hot. That's eating them up. So now they're on fire. And demons on fire too. Not as much fire as rock is, but they're on fire too. Because they can't rise any higher. So since they can't rise, that heat turns into fire. See? But for us, so they're thinking on that level. That's why they're thinking now. Everything they're talking about is fire, fire, fire. Everything is bad. Everything is going wrong. And they keep on doing it because their mind's on fire. Because their thoughts on fire. And they get to fight with each other and everything. Because that's the level they're on. Is that he just burned them up. And also demons too. As he get brighter, it eventually burn them all up totally. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Understand a simple process, but it elevated us. And so when you talk to them, that's the level of thinking, a level they're on. So you can talk to them, you can talk to demons all you want till you get blue in the face for the next 10,000 years. They have, I don't know idea what you're talking about. You cannot convince them because they're going to think on that level. That level makes sense to them. So now they're on fire together, fighting with each other. And the engine just gets hotter and hotter and hotter, which eventually burns them up. Because that rock, all it can do is get hot and then break, fracture. And same thing with demons, because remember, their foundation is rock too. Even though they have a little ability to rise, but they can't rise any higher because that rock's holding them down. So they still want the American dream, so they fight for it. And the devil, they still want American dream too, but they're on fire. And we don't want any parts of it. We think about rising, because we're rising now. So we think about rising higher and higher. The more brighter it gets, the higher we rise. When they're all burnt up, we're still rising, because the sun gets brighter and brighter. Because the angel takes you back to your original position, puts you back on. That's what it's designed to do. It has the energy to lift you back up and put you back on top. And then the next book comes, right, which take you higher. And next book after that, higher and higher and higher and higher, until you're all the way back to the beginning again. So I'm going to leave it there, brothers and sisters, but I'm trying to make this concept as simple as possible. Understand it. It's not an analogy. That's exactly how it works. Devil's why I just said did not understand any of this. Makes no sense. It's just crazy. It goes crazy. Demons ain't gonna stand it either. Because their thought is your thought. You make your thought is pressure, is the pressure of your existence. Your thoughts is a direct related to the pressure that you're experiencing, the pressure you're under. And we can withstand the greatest pressure that the universe can produce, because that's how we began under the maximum pressure that the universe could produce under maximum contraction. So there's no pressure, there's no force in the universe can destroy us. We're going to be self-destruct because they're keeping us weak, because demons are telling you, instead of using their energy to rise, use something else. See? Oh, don't use that energy to rise. See? Don't do that. Just buy some rocks. Here's a rock. Buy some of these rocks. See what I'm saying? Buy some American Dream. Buy some of these rocks. Then you'd be like demons, hold you down. So you won't be able to rise because you're buying these rocks. You buy this American dream. Those rocks, the whole thing, only thing the rocks can understand is the American dream. So they're going to tell you, hey man, be like us. Take some of these rocks. Be a rock like us. Here, take some of these rocks. And you do that because that's their nature. They can't get rid of those rocks. They can't get rid of those rocks because that's part of their nature. The demons, they're blue and a rock. But you can, they can give you rocks for you until you start putting rocks into your balloon, what's going to hold you down. That's all. That's where you allow you to destroy yourself. See? Self-imposed energy deprivation. You had the power to rise, and they selling you rocks. Farrakhan's selling you rocks. They selling you American Dreams, all these rocks, mortgage, all this stuff they selling you, and you buy these rocks. It's hold you down. 2 houses, 3 cars, all these rocks will hold you down. Those are rocks. American Dream, rock stones. See? Devils, they can't rise. They have no idea about rising. See? Demons, they can rise, but just a little bit. Because that rock, that's in their nature. They can't get rid of it. But you, that's self-imposed. Because they can sell you rocks, and you say, okay. And you buy these rocks. It's hold you down. See? And the ones that's not doing that, they're thinking hereafter, promised land. They can see it. Because you tell, Suleiman's telling about promised land. What promise we talking about? Promised land. Had no idea what you're talking about. But the one that's rising, 144,000, they get it. Because that's their nature. They're rising. So, right? Because they respond to that heat. They responded by rising. But if he don't get energy, they can't rise. If you don't get out that energy and break those seals, right, and release that energy, then they can't rise. Because that's where the energy is coming from. It's coming from the angel. Because Suleiman's taking energy that we get, it's all hidden, it's all locked up into the angel. And he's taking energy that we get every approximately 50 years and converting it, right, using that energy to unlock the angel that's causing you to rise. He's a conduit. Like I said, we get energy, wave energy approximately every 50 years. And the earth has converted, it's controlled by earth, converted to form we can use. But we control the quality of energy. And so Suleiman taking energy to unlock the angel, which has enough power to make you rise. Back to your original position. That's the purpose of it. And then that's as far as it could take you. Then you have another book take you to the next level. The Quran can't do it. The sealed Bible can't do it. They have enough energy to do it. In fact, the sealed Bible kept you down on that level down there with the rocks, with the stones. And the Quran, just a little bit, but hardly any. So you want to go back with that stuff, fine. But the angel takes you back to a original position. That's assuming that you're not caught in the gravitational vortex. Put the stones in your balloon. See? Mixing up with, that's falsehood, right? Mixed true with false. So you put stones in there, American Dream, all this stuff. See, that's what he tried. That's how to deceive you. He says, those who love this world's life, there's no portion hereafter. Because they got all these stones, they can't get to the hereafter. How can they have that's why they can't have a portion hereafter, because they can't get there. They can't rise up to it. Because they loaded down with stones. Because the masters tricked them, and demons tricked them to buy into this. And they're not understand. And those says, to take those stones, they don't hear anything I say either. Oh man, he wants to be poor. He wants to have nothing. Okay, well, I mean, they're almost like demons, right? They're going to start thinking like demons, because if they get enough stone, they will think like demons. Because they're on the same level as demons. Remember, that's the level they are. They're on the same level as demons. They're going to think the same way demons think. So they start thinking like demons too. And they won't hear any of this. Going home, man. I've had people come and go since they deal with me. And when I started talking this kind of stuff, I haven't talked this plain before. But oh man, they depart. Because they want a nicer house. They want 2 or 3 cars. They want stones. And I'm telling them they shouldn't have those, they should let those stones go. They don't want to let it go. And then that's what's holding them down. They think, oh man, we ain't had nothing for 40 years. Now we got a stone. He tells us we shouldn't have those stones. Well, I ain't telling you should have them. You want to keep them. Says, but no push for you in here. Those stones keep you down here in the American dream and the gravitational vortex. So you start thinking like stones. The more stones you add, the more you start thinking like stones. And the American dream makes sense to you. You won't understand nothing I say unless someone come and does something and shake those. Of course, you unload those stones. And that's what Master Muhammad's getting ready to do. He's getting ready to shake you up so hard. There's a lot of you, those stones can start spilling. Some of you's not enough going to spill, so you're still going to be caught up. But some of you, all those stones going to spill, and then all of a sudden you're going to start rising like you never, that's all you're going to think about, rising. Because, see, and some of you, because those stones get real hot, you're going to drop them yourself. He's going to make those stuff, and you're going to say, damn, this stuff is hot. Inflation. Crime. Famine. Those stones are really hot. And you're going to drop them. You understand, brothers and sisters? He's going to make those stones so hot for your ass that some of you going to hold on to them to the end. Allah will lift you up. You grab a hold onto the earth. He's going to burn those stones up. Suleiman is burning those stones for you right now. You don't understand it. But Master Muhammad's getting ready to make a move, right? That's going to really heat him up. Okay? And you're going to, oh man, that stone's hot. And you're going to load them. Some of you not loading fast enough. See? Because demons and devils are going to get hold of you. And they're going to be like stones. They got a grip on you. And so they're going to be stones that hold you down because they got a grip on you because you didn't get away fast enough. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. But you add those stones on there, you're doing it to yourself. You're hurting yourself. That means when they get hot, you may not, that time to rise up out of here, when the fire, everything's on fire, you might not be able to get out here fast enough. And when those stones get real hot, you may not be able to try a little bit too late because it's going to burn you up. Burn that balloon all up. You know, so the stones can hurt us. We can hurt the stones. They get hot, they burn us. They burn up that balloon because you're full of stones. Because you wouldn't listen. So they get hot and all of a sudden they burn you up. Some of you are going to be totally burned up. And some of you are going to, it's hot, and drop them. And save your ass. So you look at all the things in between. Just think about it, brothers and sisters. I gave you something to think about. I gave you a mathematical situation. And it works exactly like I just told you. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. All right? And one other thing I'm going to just talk about. I was going to have a private thing, but I'm going to say this. This is a little depart from there. I'm talking about modesty. They took modesty away from us. That's why they walk around naked with their ass showing out. I mean, a little string that's covered the crack of their ass and the whole ass hand. They think that's okay. How does that cover their nakedness? Got those, in Australia, right? They can go on the beaches. Now, not a nudist beach, public beaches, women have to wear a bra. And they walk around with, this is not even a bikini. A bikini, they cover part of your ass. This covers, like what, a G-string, I don't know what they call it. Thong or whatever. It's just a little string that goes up the crack of your ass. So the whole ass hanging out. Might as well not even have it there. Right? They're the ones that have no modesty. And they trust modesty. See, when you go and really check out, you got to understand what these people do. I'm not going into all the details. But do they ever show you 500 years ago what Africa looked like 500 years ago? I mean, what Africa really looked like? The cities? They never show you cities of Africa, do they? Because the major cities in the world at that time were like Timbuktu. That was a major learning center of the whole world at that time. People from China, all places with the Timbuktu education. Read it, check it out. That was in Africa. Cairo, University of Cairo. The greatest learning centers were in Africa, in the cities. But they go out in the jungle and find some people running around the jungle naked, carrying on, and they tell, oh, that was Africa. That's bullshit. Just like you see America, right? And you go out to what they call it, redneck place. What do they call this place? Out in, I forget what they call it, in North Carolina. What's those places they call those places out there? Right? Some kind of mountains or whatever. And they say, oh, that's where all Caucasians are. And they say, oh man, they're all like running around rednecks and living in shacks, and they never show you the cities and stuff. And then they tell you that's what it's all about. That's the game they play. Because most of the Africans back then live in the cities. You had some living out in the suburbs, in the jungles. Right? But most of them lived in the cities. And it was very cultured. And most of them were Islamic cities. Muslims. But they make it see, they go out and find some running out in the jungle and say, see, that was them. That's all a lie. We were not immodest people, we're modest people. Our women were modest. Our women were the essence of being modest. So now you walk around trying to emulate them because they had their ass hanging out, because that's where they were in Europe. They made Europe into a shithole. They had a whole continent. How come, if they're so wise and so powerful, they're the wisest people on the planet and the greatest and the best people on the planet and it's a pure race, how come they didn't turn Europe into the shining light on the hill for all the nations see? See how great we are? See how great civilization we have? No, Europe's a shithole. Disease, tyranny, rape, murder, you name it. It was a total shithole. They were starving up there and everything else. The Black Plague, all that stuff. The so-called Dark Ages wasn't the whole world, it was just Europe. When you was in the Dark Ages, all the rest of the world was flourishing. But they tell you make think the whole world was in Dark Ages. It was just Europe. And by the time you got over, there was totally basket case up there. It was a shithole. That's why they left there looking to take everybody else's stuff, because they had nothing. They tell you, watch the story, but they make you think it's a great thing. They were conquistadors and all that kind of stuff. No, it was taken off because they had nothing. They weren't educated anything. They was dumb ass, rednecks, crazy people that didn't have anything. And they went stealing other people's stuff and raping and murdering. They went out to steal, kill, and destroy, just like the Bible says. So there was this great people, they tell them, how come they didn't make Europe a shining light on the hill? No, it was a shithole. They were escaping. And when they were escaping, they was what they were escaping from. Because they just brought their disease and everything with them. They killed most of the population in this country through disease that they brought here. You know, they have roaches here when they came. They have rats here. They brought that stuff with them. That's a whole story altogether. See? They didn't have it. They brought it here. Understand that. So we have to get back to our modest position, start emulating them. Because nowadays, right, the things we talk about, we should talk about, and sisters particularly, because our women are beautiful, and they should be more modest than anybody. That's why they cover themselves up. If they be more modest than anybody, because modesty is a sign of beauty. Animals, they're not modest. They walk on their balls, everything all hanging out, everybody can see them. I don't want to see that. So are you going to do the same thing? These guys wear these things, they call them so tight, and you can see their organs and everything. I mean, come on. That's them, not us. They make you think that was you. So now somehow they uplifted you. No, they brought us down. Made in America. Because you reproduce what you are. So they made niggas in America because that's what they are. That's not what we are. They made us into themselves. And now we're modest and we say things we shouldn't be saying. First of all, nothing between you and your spouse should be ever spoken to anybody. No one. Under any circumstances. I don't care what happens. If you break up, you get married, whatever. What happens between you and your spouse should never be spoken to anybody under any circumstances. Unless you would both agree that you need to talk to a doctor or something. But nothing between you and your spouse should ever be spoken to anybody, ever. Under any circumstances, no hint, anything. And women shouldn't be talking about that. Women have more a delicate hygiene situation than men do. They should never talk about it. They should talk about their period or like that. They should talk about it. Should talk about it. That's private. It's like you go to the toilet and say, hey, look, see what I did in the toilet. Man, you don't do that. The ministry call it toilet talk. They had ministers who would use that in their ministry. Minister called it toilet talk. He would shut them down. Shouldn't do that. Be modest. When we get back to tuning in, right? Tuning in is just what it calls it, right? But it'd be like cell phones in a way. You can't force anybody to answer this. When you tune in, they can't force them to answer you. Like the messenger said, you get a tingle in your ear, and you can answer or don't. See? And when you do answer right, you want to answer a situation where you're thinking about your toiletry, your personal. No. Because you don't want that revealed to anybody. That's personal. That's why we cover it up. They're minds, they're animals, they're beasts. So they walk around naked and everything else. That's not us. And sisters should be even more careful with that. Okay? Nobody's holding anything, because we taught that. All that stuff will be nowhere remembered. Once we cleaned up, all that stuff will be nowhere remembered. But we do that. And then we go and talk to other people about what. No, you shouldn't do that ever. That side of life that should be between you and your spouse, and some of it in between just you. Because the female, even your personal things like, those, you shouldn't even talk about that even with your own spouse. You don't want to hear that. Why you want to? You're not a beast, you're not an animal. So I'm not here to condemn you. That's what water does. And that water does continue. Somebody had to give you water so you don't make those mistakes again. Because we all have made those mistakes. And I know nowadays, you'd be surprised what people say to you. They'll say all kinds of stuff, personal stuff, because they think that's because we're here in this country, we're in this shithole, and everything stinks. So we speak, and they tell, well, you shouldn't say shit, you should say MF. This whole place is a shithole. I like telling you, shithole, but man, well, you shouldn't, what's another way of saying it, right? You think of it, but you should tell you, right? You shouldn't say you're in the shithole. You're in the shithole. It stinks. So you shouldn't tell me how bad it stinks. Maybe that's a good analogy. You shouldn't tell me how bad it stinks. You can't pretend that shithole is a rose bed. That's truth. Greater truth destroys lesser truth. That's why they don't want you to call it shit, because that's the truth. Because once you say it's shit, then you clean it up. But if you can pretend it's roses, then you won't clean it up. And then you say you happy, like I said, a stone is happy in that being a stone on the ground. So therefore, if you talk about America like it's a shining light on the hill, then you ain't gonna do anything about it. You're gonna stay here, because that's where you're gonna see it. But when you start calling it shit, call it what it is, that shows you rising above it. See? That shows you rising about it. Because who wants to stay in shit? So when somebody talking about shit, that means they're rising above it. Because they tell you this, oh man, he's saying shit. Oh, so you mean the people in shit, they ain't saying it? Why? Because they stuck, they like pigs, they happy in it. So they shit to them. You gotta get things right. When you see the person that you see is raising you up, He's telling you, you ain't shit. He ain't saying manure, you ain't shit. He getting the point across so you understand, hey man, I'm in shit, get the hell out of here. Because if you're manure, well, it ain't so bad, is it? Oh man, he's saying, yeah, because he's telling you what you is, because he's trying to clean you up. When someone comes along, he's going to call it what it is. It's a shithole. These people are assholes. They're devils. That's why I want to call them devils. You want to call them what it is. Because if you call them devils, then you want to get the hell away from them. If you call them the enemy can be your friend. All you have to be nice to them. Maybe they'll be your friend. But if you know they're devils, ain't no way in the hell you're going to be bunny bob with them. You want to get the hell away from them. You ain't going to mess around and play with a snake that you know is poisonous. Oh, well, that's not. Once you know it's poisonous, get the hell away from them. That's respect. See, he don't want you to respect the devil. Because when you respect that, means you respect him for being a devil. He wants you to love him. So you see somebody come on and say, hey man, don't call them devils, man. In America it's so bad. And we trying to inspire you, trying to elevate your mind so you can be, he's trying to keep you here. He's giving you stones to keep you down. But see, he's what sounds good. Oh man, he talks nice. Why the hell he wants you to talk nice? You show. He talks nice, man. He's trying to be peaceful. He's trying to get along. See? Get along with who? What are you trying to be peaceful with? He's trying to keep you here. He's trying to make you a lot bigger here in the shithole. Then we don't call it shit. You want to call it devils. You don't call it none of that. Oh, no, man. We're just going to move next door. Are you going to move next door to the shithole? If you're a shithole, you don't want to go in there near it. You understand? I'm trying to get you to understand who you're dealing with and understand who you are. That's why you will not leave here unless you have thorough knowledge of self. I'm trying to explain it to you. But modesty, return to your mind. It took it away from us. Get it back. Modesty is a sign of civilization, sign of intelligence. Signs you're not an animal. Animals don't know how to be modest. I mean, even animals have some sense. I guess some have some sense of modesty, right? Right? Dogs try to clean their shit, right? But sisters, right? Be careful with that, because that immodesty is a way to what's the word I'm going to use? The damage is not the word I want to use. Damage your beauty. To corrupt your beauty. That's not still the word I want to use. Demar your beauty. Okay. Oh, here's my period. Oh, I do this to my husband. All this kind of stuff. No, brothers and sisters. I do this to my wife, man. And then you see them on TV. That's why the movie they have you doing that stuff. That's going to be slick. Oh, man, I'm not even going to it, because this is the last time I'm going to talk about this, because I don't want to talk about it at all. Because that's between man and a woman, and that's between you and everybody else. Certain things you don't talk about anybody, not even your husband or your wife, because it's personal to you. You go in there and say, here, honey, look what I did in the toilet. That makes sense to you? That's something you don't talk to anybody about. Certain things is ultra personal. Certain things personal between two individuals. And that trust is never broken. Because if you can't get along for divorce for whatever reason, that still remains between you and that person ever. I've been divorced a couple of times, right? I've been a couple of demons, right? And I still never go in and say anything that happened between us, even though some of my woo, right? But and I don't go around bare mouthing them to their children either. I don't do that either. I don't care how bad I feel about that person, they still gotta respect their mama. I tell them, you better respect your mama, because you gotta deal with me. Even though she may be the worst scum on the planet, that's between her and myself. But that's your mama, you better respect her. You have to agree with her, but you better respect her, or you're gonna have trouble with me. That's where you're supposed to do things, brothers and sisters. Do the right thing, and then you be rewarded. Because when you invest the truth, you grow. When you invest in greater power, you grow. See? You invest in our people, right? Because they're rising now. If you invest in our people 1,000 years ago, that would have been a wasted investment because it was declining. But now they're rising. So any investment, you're going to get great returns. And the more you invest, the greater your returns are going to be because they're rising now. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. But remember modesty. Remember modesty. Understand? Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. And teach your children also. See? Men and women. It's even more important with women because women have more delicate personal issues than men do. But modesty, bro, they took it away from us. Take it back. We're rising. See, sun's rising. That's what Sue might hear. Unlock that oil energy and angel. That's what give you, right? Raise that temperature, right? Your thought pressure. See, rise. See? Because heat causes balloons to rise. It don't cause rocks without rise with heat. It's get hot and crack. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Hold on, brothers and sisters, because things are going to change dramatically. But when they start changing, they're changing already. But when that Master Muhammad makes a move, things going to move so fast that if you're not aware of anything we're talking about, it's going to catch, it's going to overwhelm you. Man. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Assalamu alaikum. Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.